This presentation is about speech and language impairments. Some of the factors we'll examine are learning characteristics, common difficulties, warning indicators, implications for teacher instruction, and tips, strategies, and instructional techniques. The co-occurrence of speech and language impairments with learning disabilities is 96%. The federal government only allows one special education category per student. Speech or language impairments is the second largest special education category. Speech and language impairments are very prevalent. Over 7% of school-aged U.S. children have had a disorder related to voice, speech, language, or swallowing in the past year. The prevalence is highest among children ages 3 to 6. More than half of U.S. children with one of these disorders have received intervention services in the past year. Some of the characteristics of children with speech and language impairments may include inability to comprehend spoken sentences, inability to follow a sequence of directions, limited vocabulary or use of incorrect words and phrases, complete lack of speech, poor social interactions, poor responses to academic questions, and resistance to early literacy interventions. Who are students with speech or language impairments? These include reading disabilities, speech difficulty, and language impairment or delay. Speech impairment can be production of speech that sounds unintelligible or unpleasant. It may also interfere with communication. It manifests in articulation, fluency, and voice problems. Articulation disorders are errors in the production of speech sounds that might be related to anatomical or physiological limitations in the skeletal, muscular, or neuromuscular support for speech production. This includes omissions, such as bow for boat, substitutions, such as wabbit for rabbit, or distortions, schlip for sip. Fluency disorders are difficulties with the rhythm and timing of speech. For example, stuttering is rapid-fire repetition of consonant or vowel sounds, especially at the beginning of words. Cluttering is excessively fast and jerky speech. Voice disorders include problems with the quality or use of one's voice resulting from disorders in the larynx. They are characterized by abnormal production and/or absences of vocal quality, pitch, loudness, resonance, and/or duration. It is crucial to understand that some children demonstrate misarticulation and non-fluency. This is common among children and does not automatically mean that a child has a speech disorder. Language impairment, moving on from speech impairment, is the disruption of communication that interferes with the understanding of messages, intent of communication, and social interactions. It includes 5 areas: phonological disorders, morphological disorders, semantic disorders, syntactical deficits, and pragmatic difficulties. Language delay means that children have the same sequence of language acquisition as peers, but it is slower. Many of these children eventually catch up to their peers. It is often difficult for teachers to determine whether a child who is not a native speaker of English has a language impairment. ELLs are disproportionately represented in special education classrooms. Similarly, children from diverse backgrounds are often misidentified as having language impairments. For example, a child with an Appalachian language variety living in a different part of the United States may be misidentified as having a language impairment. Therefore, it is crucial for teachers to be culturally aware. There are many strategies to work with children who have speech and language impairments. For example, one can teach an understanding of words and concepts through the use of actual objects and progress from the concrete to the abstract. Educators can use tactile and visual cues to enhance language development, such as rebus books. Positive reinforcement can help children attempting to communicate. Educators should reinforce communication attempts such as gestures and partial verbalizations when the student is nonverbal or emerging verbal. People with speech impairments can be more intelligible if they speak slowly and loudly. A speech pathologist could help a child develop intelligibility through slow, loud speech. Visual input helps listeners to understand auditory input, so a speech pathologist could help children develop motor skills in the face and mouth to help communication. Assistive technology is useful to help children with speech and language impairments. There are several computer-based speech training systems to help children develop phonological skills and to track data to help teachers develop personalized plans.